How did your break into PM happen?
For somebody straight out of graduation to join PM, that is the safest route. If you really want to go into product management straight out of undergrad only, just go via the internship route.
How you got there, right? What was the hiring process?
Basically, we generally test candidates on two parameters.
What was your cold reach out like? Was it?
Research about the role, exactly what the role describes.
Is there something that you don't like about PMing?
Sometimes you have to convey or convince people.
How are you guys adopting AI? What are the kind of products? What are the kind of integrations?
This will become like a more of a general life skill to have.
Hi everyone. Today I have Atul with me. Atul, thank you so much for doing this. And Atul is a senior product manager at Rapido. And today we are going to deep dive into his background, his career, and all of that. So super excited to have you here, Atul. Welcome. Any opening thoughts?
Thanks a lot, Malay, for that introduction. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. So I just wanted to give a high-level overview about me
Of
to your
course.
viewers also. So I currently work as a senior product manager in customer retention team at Rapido. So I
Mhm.
lead initiatives related to retention, everything related to like improving the customer retention at Rapido.
Nice. Awesome. We'll double click a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, what PMing is like at Rapido. But before that, let's start on with, your early career, right? How did your break into PM happen? And of course, so many aspiring PMs, want to look at it maybe in college right now, who want to kind of transition into the PM role. So how did it happen for you? Give us
So
the insight.
yeah, sure. So for me, I direct out of college from my graduation. So I graduated from Bitspilani in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Straight out of college, I was fortunate enough to join a product firm. So for me, what worked out was basically I had done two internships in the field of product management. One was at a company called Wealthy. It was a health tech startup, and another one was at a company called Goodera. So it was one of my college senior startup only. So I did a 6 month long internship there, post which it converted to PPO, and I started working with them as a full time. Right. So I would say that's like for somebody straight out of graduation to join PM, that is the safest route. Right.
Correct.
If Because otherwise, generally you see a lot of MBA graduates who come into product management. If you really want to go into product management straight out of undergrad only, I would prefer just go via the internship route. People
Mm.
generally give you chance, and you will get a taste of what PMing is also. So you will also understand that whether it is for you or not, right?
Yeah.
So in that way, also it is very important that you get the taste of the entire job itself, and post which, if you like and if you perform well, most likely it get converted. So that route, to me at least, appears the best for people who are coming straight out of undergraduate and wanting to become a PM.
Nice. I think, yeah, very practical advice. I think most people move from that logic itself. So, very interesting, of course, that for you also that really worked out. Now, tell me a little bit about how was the preparation phase, right? I'm sure, it was you mentioned the internship route, so you can probably, double click a little bit more on that in terms of what was your prep like? Were you doing a lot of mocks? Were you going through some material? What was that phase like?
So for me, BITS has a internship program called
Mhm.
PS School. They call practice schools.
Yeah.
In that, you generally get one of the companies based on your just CGPA,
Yeah.
right? Whatever CGPA that you have, based on that, you will be allotted one of the company. I was
Mhm.
fortunate enough that I got the field. So this was one of the internship was through college only. The other one, which I secured on my own, was at a health tech startup, right? So
Okay.
for that, what I had done is like preparing for interview is just one part of it. Like everyone will prepare. I would
Mm.
say start focusing on like how do you get somebody's attention,
Mm.
right? Just like it's a proper funnel conversion. Like in product management, we talk about the top of the funnel. You
Correct.
try to increase top of the funnel as much as possible. Reach out to as many people as possible. You do cold emailing. You push them on like pitch them on LinkedIn with a certain, of course, you'll have to have a reason why you want to work there, right? So convey like try increasing top of the funnel. Someone in the industry will be there who will find your profile relevant, and he
Hmm.
will like call you back. So just that, it's just volume game. You try increasing top of the funnel, somebody will reach out to you. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Give me some examples of you mentioned, right, trying to grab attention. Give me some examples of what you were able to do to kind of hold that attention of people, especially in your in the internship that you ended up
So I
seeing.
ideally, so what I had done is I was so let's say right that I do right now also. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
if I am looking out for a job or I am looking out for some internship, what I do is somebody has posted that job.
Mm-hmm.
Try looking who is the hiring manager. It's not very hard to find the hiring manager for that job.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if
Absolutely.
you are able to find the hiring manager for that job, try reaching out to him personally. Like if like you can't have like also I just say this to a lot of my friends also. You can't have a very generic profile. Like if let's say
Mm.
if I am in college and I'm trying for internship, I have a resume that is very like consulting for consulting it is very generic. For let's say if I'm in core, maybe core resume, I'm just copy pasting the same resume everywhere. It might not work. So what you
Correct.
need to do is you need to make sure that hiring manager feels that this is the most relevant guy that I'm gonna find,
Mm.
right? So you need to go read the resume, make sure your profile or the work that you have done is relevant for that, or put at least some relevant work related to that, and then push your profile to the hiring manager. So find the hiring manager and pitch the right way, right? Just
Mm.
randomly applying and saying that I'm increasing the top of the funnel will not work. Of course, sometimes it works, but it is like you have to ensure that you are reaching out to hiring managers with the right pitch. That at least works for me.
Perfect. I mean, yeah, absolutely right, right? I mean, every single application has to be almost crafted, like treated with care and built properly. So makes a lot of sense.
And I would not say just go and apply like let's say 40 jobs in a day. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like maybe apply seven, eight, nine, whatever you find interesting, and craft your resume for that.
Mm.
Otherwise, just like you are just like you are trying to find something where like it is either irrelevant for you, even for the hiring manager. They are not going to shortlist you.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, because they get what thousands and thousands of CVs
Correct.
every day. So you have to, I think, yeah, the word that you said was absolutely spot on that you have to grab the attention. Very interesting. Let's dive a little bit more, into Rapido and try and understand what's going on there. So, of course, like you said, you're currently senior product manager there, and what you're focusing on is, probably one of the hardest pillars in general in terms of growth and retention for customers and everything. Talking to me a little bit about your role there. What are the kind of problems you're solving, and what are the kind of problems that your team is chasing this year or the
Sure.
next 3 4 years. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. So when I look at retention, I look at it two phases. One is I would say what are the barriers? When I say barriers, what are the barriers to retention? So, what are the negative things that are happening on the customer side because of which customer is not retaining on the platform? An example of barrier would be something we call internally as fare shock. So, let's say I promised you a fare of 100 rupees, the
Mm-hmm.
final fare came out to be 120 rupees. You, as a customer, will now never trust Rapid. You will be like, oh, they don't honor their own price, right? And we know that that is one of the biggest lever for retention. So these are all set of barriers. So you'll have a bunch of barrier problems where something negative has happened because of which customer don't want to come, right? You try to solve and reduce as much as that possible, and then there is something I call it as positive loops. So something that works for a customer who's coming back again and again to our platform, and you like try to identify what is working for him, right? And maybe double down on that positive loop, right? So these are like two forms of retention levers that we look at. Try improving on positive loops and reducing the barriers. So yeah, an example of A positive loop would be something like, let's say, user who comes to our app and he has done, let's say, three rides in first maybe 21 days or 30 days. We know that he is gonna retain. We know from data that he is most likely to retain. So what do? You try to ensure that as many as people do some three or five rides within that window. Like if they're able to do so many rides within that window, they are more likely to get retained on our platform, right? So that could be one way, or other way could be something like somebody who is coming on our platform and saving a favorite location, favoriting a location, right? That also leads to a user investing time and energy on a platform and is very much likely to retain as compared to user who is not saving something. So
Correct.
basically you try doubling down on that behavior, right? So maybe more users are like build a flow where a little more users are able to save favorites easily, right? So yeah, we look at majorly retention in these two major buckets.
Got it. Got it. No, fair enough. That's very interesting. In terms of the kind of, work this is. Of course, retention is probably the hardest problem to solve as a product manager. Very difficult to get right. So, pretty interesting. So tell me a little bit about how you got there, right? What was the hiring process like? And of course, Rapido right now is a company that so many PMs actually aspire to get into. And for someone who's already there or who's already made it, I think it'll be very interesting if you give us a brief of how did you end up getting there? What was the hiring process like and everything?
Yeah, so for me, I had applied, I had reached out to the hiring manager for this
You
role.
reached out. It was a
Yeah,
cold
I
reach
had
out?
reached out. It was a cold reach out, and then the HR reached back to me
Uh,
through emails and all. So the process right now at Rapido is also quite standard. So it is basically we generally test candidates on two parameters. One is mostly on like if you are a very entry level PM, we focus a lot on product execution, how they
okay.
are at execution and as well as in product design. So these two major frameworks that we like, these two major skills that we check. Execution generally tend to have maybe a case around on RCA, something related to metric and how would you measure the success and all of like case studies related to that, and then something. There's one more round on design also, right?
I
So like the number of rounds can vary depending upon the candidates to candidates and like how who are the stakeholders involved. But the major types of cases that you will get is these two types only. So specifically for me, it was like the first conversation I had was with the hiring manager itself.
okay.
He understood the work experience, whatever I had done till now, why I wanted to join. So all of that bit was covered in the hiring manager round itself. Then I had two back-to-back rounds. One was on execution, where I was asked an RCA question,
Mm-hmm.
and then post that I had a product design question. Post which I had one conversation uh, with the head of product, and after which basically you had one HR round again to basically it's more of a like a formality, but yeah, you have still have a final HR round that happens, and post which the offer is rolled out.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, yeah, standard process from there, but I'm sure that the frameworks that happen in these rounds or the questions that happen in these rounds, are very in depth, and that makes a lot of.
Yeah.
You mentioned, the first thing that caught my eye was a cold reach out. Now, of course, a lot of people kind of abstain away from it, but I think you've mentioned it twice in terms of, telling people that, hey, this is the value I can add. What was your cold reach out like? Like, was it? Did you like go the route of just asking that, hey, there is a job and this is my credentials, or did you kind of pitch some value to them? What was?
No, yeah. So for me, for this case, I don't exactly recall the exact message that I have put, but my general template that I follow is
Yeah.
you research about the role, exactly what the role describes, find out all the relevant things that you have done, maybe for this role, right? And go through the hiring manager's profile also. So you will also understand, or if he has put in some post or anything related to that, And in the cold mail, try including all of this. Now with chat GPT and all of this, this becomes slightly more easier for you. You can have like maybe put in all of these details, and chat GPT can even give you a draft, and maybe you can improve on it, right? Some improvement that you can do. So I would say bring all of these inputs and create a draft, for maybe you can even have some sets of drafts according to different types of domain or companies that you want to apply, right? So if you are focusing on mobility, or if you are focusing on e-commerce or something on, there are certain domains only, right? So you can maybe have a template that you can store, and maybe you can try reusing it. But I would still suggest keep it as personal as possible that you can do. But maybe starting with a template and improving on it for that role still works.
Got it. Got it. I mean, so yeah, have a standard set of template which you then use to make it through. Very interesting. Um, uh, at this point, right? I mean, for someone trying to get into Rapido or any, these top PM companies, product companies that are there right now, what are some of the, qualities or signals that you people look at? What do you think, stands out the most, if you would maybe to list the top three or four?
Yeah, for me, if let's say apart from the let's say the product case round and how a candidate performs there, for
Mm-hmm.
me, when you are hiring somebody at a junior level, you would ideally look for somebody with a very high agency,
Okay.
right? If somebody has you can get that. So even when we are hiring some interns or somebody, right, we are not looking for something like you're going to perform extraordinarily well in the case round.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to show that high agency, right, throughout the interview, for some reason, through like people are there who are able to show that, right? You are questioning, like there's a lot of conversation, you are questioning on things that shows that you are having high agency, right? And you what work you have done in maybe in college or in, let's say, previous internship, right? That also shows whether this person is a high agency person or not. Because at this
Of course.
stage when you're,
Yeah.
yeah, so if at this stage when somebody you are hiring is maybe an intern or maybe an APM, at that stage you would ideally want people who have very high agency and they can learn the craft over the job itself, right? So that
Got
also works.
got it. Got it. So if I were to summarize, of course, sure short way of displaying high agency, maybe through proof of work or a portfolio or great projects that you've done in your college. And then of course the other rounds that you mentioned in terms of being good at product sense, analytics, all of those kind of standard things. Are there any common mistakes that you've looked at or that you found which people make uh, either while going through general PM processes or while going through processes at Rapido?
Yeah, so I would say one theme of mistakes that I have seen people
Mhm.
doing again and again is a lot many times, in case round at least I've seen that they have a solution in mind. Like the
Okay.
first thing
Mm.
that they do is when you put them a problem, they have come up with a solution. And
Mhm.
in you can read that in their head they have a solution and they
Yeah.
just want to retrofit it
Mm.
into the structure that they are gonna follow, right? They are not ready to be have that ambiguous state where they're just gonna follow a framework and come up with a solution. In the end the solution will become very obvious in the end, but they have a solution already in mind for whatever reason.
Yeah. And
So
just
I
follow.
think people, so ideally, I would prefer candidate, like I would like convey to all people is basically don't have the solution in your head. Try, like when you are practicing, try living with that ambiguous state where you don't have the solution in mind. Just
Mm.
go with the problem and drill down on the problem statement for quite some time. You will come up with a solution. Solutions are generally even in execution when you come to a PM world also, right? When you're actually working on the job, the solutions are very obvious. If you know the problems, if you're able to figure out the right problem, the solution becomes very obvious. So just
Absolutely.
don't rush to the solution. Have spend time on problem. Solution will come automatically. You don't need to rush to it.
Nice. I think very, very pertinent advice, really, because that's something that I also see a lot. Just switching back to Rapido for a little bit, and then we'll, talk a little bit more about AI as well. I know, I mean, you're solving a really important problem, and this is something that I'm sure you would have a lot of fun at. But I think this is something that a lot of people who listen to us also mention. Is there something that you don't like about PMing, not just maybe at your current role, but in general? Is there something that you don't enjoy as much? Because of course for every role there is things that you enjoy and things that you don't. So is there something that you don't enjoy at your role right now?
No, I would say. There are things, of course. The biggest problem that I at least feel is sometimes you have to convey or convince people
Hmm.
who are not in your like vicinity of influence, right? And many of times those people don't, you can't even, let's say somebody is in your department only, maybe you can present him with data and all of that,
Correct.
but assume that there's something you're working on, you have to convince marketing for that. The
Hmm.
person is my his success is not directly linked to your project, so he's just a stakeholder who is gonna do that for you. So sometimes it's become tricky, but yeah, you through personal bond with people and having chai over a period of time with them and giving them some favor over a period of time, you are able to execute that. So I feel initially when you are joining a new company, that is slightly tricky in the initial phases when you have to get things done outside your vicinity of influence, right? So that bit I find a little tricky.
Nice, nice, very interesting. Does Rapido work out of office or work like it's a is it a
Yeah, we go to office 3 to 4 times a week. We have like it's quite flexible around that, so you can go. Generally, people go 3 to 4.
yeah?
Uh, at
How
least
is the vibe at the office? Sorry, you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, it's quite flexible. So product team generally goes 3 to 4 times a week uh, to office.
Pretty
Yeah.
much the entire week. How is the
Yeah.
vibe? I mean, for someone
Yeah. So
aspiring
we,
to Rapido, how does the office feel like? How does it feel like to be inside?
yeah, Rapido has gone through a crazy growth phase in last 3 4 years.
Yeah.
So I remember when I had joined, we were chasing mission million. I guess we were chasing million rights a day. We are now one of the largest player in the Indian market, right?
Yeah.
So
I
it
think the
has
largest
been a,
now from
yeah, the largest
for
now
some
as
category.
of now.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are doing quite a huge amount of rights. It has gone, the growth has been just crazy.
Amazing.
So yeah, people are you like I at least the best thing I find at Rapido is everyone is excited and it's very easy to get things done.
Hmm.
So in a lot of orgs, you will face this problem where you want to do something and the org is not allowing you or making you handicapped to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Right, that does not happen here. At least till now, we don't face this problem at all. That if somebody has something that they want to try it out, we actually have a problem of where we are doing a lot of experiments. Sometimes it is like be careful with your experiments until unless you know for sure that there's something different gonna come out. Don't run experiments. So we run a lot of experiments all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. On an average, how many A/B experiments or how many experiments would be live on the product right now?
I can't have like at least I have right now three right now
Wow.
running for me. So
Wow.
I like overall they could be huge, but I don't know that number
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Correct. I mean, if you
Yeah,
look at it from zoom out, then it
yeah,
probably would be 50, 60 at
correct.
a second.
Yeah, maybe more, even more than that.
Awesome. That's amazing. Great, great. I think yeah, that gives me and I think everyone who listens a lot of insight on how Rapido builds. Just one more question around Rapido, and then we'll talk a little more about AI. What's the product building playbook like at Rapido? I mean, let's break it down into the four phases, right? And probably we'll probably not talk about development as much because that's in my experience that's very similar across companies on how you work with engineers and everything, but I want to understand the research and the design phase, right? Because that's something that Rapido is known really well for, right? You guys find so many unobvious and so many important problems for customers to solve. So how does research happen in the PM team at Rapido? Do you guys have UX researchers to work with you, or do PMs go to the ground and come back with insights? And how do you sort of uh, come to a conclusion that okay, this is an opportunity or this is a feature worth chasing? How does that happen?
Yeah, so talk about the discovery phase, right?
Mhm.
So discovery phase at Rapido is mostly you need to like it happens majorly via two routes. One is data route
Okay.
where you have some thesis, like you have some thesis, you have gotten that thesis through some way, you have gone through Play Store, you have gone on ground, right? And develop that thesis, and you are trying to size that. The
I see.
second part, which is the more interesting part, is a lot of us do a lot of many rides as a captain. So you will find a lot of product managers or other people in Rapido org who are like just going ahead and doing bike captain ride, auto rides, cab rides. Right. If you remember, right, we could not have this call yesterday because I was out in Delhi doing some research.
Oh, wow.
So I am right now working on something related to metro, and also I was like, oh, let me just go and travel to. So I for that entire last week I was there in Delhi on like doing some metro rides to understand the problems that customers face. Right. So it is you go on ground, try building that thesis, size that thesis using data or take inputs from data if you are able to. Right.
Mhm.
But thesis building has to generally happen via your you going on ground and talking to customers, talking to captains, getting their POV, or even doing rides. Like what when you work in a B2C space, the biggest benefit is you as a customer can also figure out the problem, right? You are always the end consumer also,
Yeah.
right? So that works out. So you try it out. So you basically build these thesis through going on ground, trying out all of the apps, features, and the problems that customers face, talking to customers and captains, and then build on that thesis through data. So that is the general process that we follow in discovery. Post that, it is, yeah, once you have identified, then you generally craft some PID or whatever document that you want to call, align everyone if that makes sense or not. If let's say you have an alignment, then you go ahead and do the usual stuff of, let's say, building the design. And once in the design phase, also let's say if you are not very confident, you again do some sort of user testing on the design, show some mocks to a completely new user who has never seen or tried Rapido, maybe get some input from them and then build on top of that. And once design is done, then it's a usual sprint planning and all of that that happens in another orgs also.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think I love the part about doing the Rapido rides as captain. So I think that's absolutely
That's quite big here at Rapido. So we
Mhm.
have we call it drives of discovery.
Okay.
So, and people just go out on rides and they publish their findings and what problems and pain points they face. Even as a customer, like we being in the customer team also,
Mhm.
sometimes try to go out and do rides as captains to even understand you. Once you go, like I remember one day when I was doing an auto ride in Bangalore, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming from a captain POV. He has to accept the ride, he has to drive in traffic, he has to talk to the customer. All of this is happening at the same time, and overwhelming the customer with all of these pings and all of that data. Right now, once you get into those shoes, you will understand what the captain is actually facing. And before that, if you are not doing that, you will feel like, oh, this is just an app that I am building, and why he's not clicking it. Once you go through his journey, you will understand what problems that he's really facing. Right? What is his mindset at that point of time also.
Nice. Amazing. I think yeah, that's I think the reason why Rapido is growing at the pace where it is right now. Very, very interesting. And thank you so much, for sharing those insights. We'll talk a little more about AI now, which is, of course, taking the world by storm. I mean, it's changing the way the core PMing itself has been. So how is that affecting product teams at Rapido right now? How are you guys adopting AI? What are the kind of products? What are the kind of integrations? How is it going on right now?
So I'll talk about like in development. There's a big chunk of improvements and efficiencies that is happening through AI. I'm gonna skip that part. I'll just talk
Sure.
about the
Yeah.
product part. So ideally, in the product team, at least I'll talk about my workflow that I generally do is, let's say if I'm working on a problem statement, the very basic that you do is have a context field. Let's say if you have a chat, just dump everything about that problem statement that you know.
Hmm.
And later, uh, basically, you will have a space where you have the entire context. And
Okay.
if you are building on top of that context, you can just ask maybe whatever that you're using to provide some more insights. Apart
I
from that, there is other use case of data and design also, right? So let's say a lot many times we are crunched with data and design bandwidth. So in data also, if you have the queries, let's say some queries that you are already ready for you, uh, like modifying them becomes very easier for us if you pass on that context. Just ask, you just go ahead and improve this query, right? Or change this query for this use case, right?
Mhm.
So if you don't have, let's say if you're not getting like data analyst bandwidth, you can go ahead and try doing it out yourselves also, right? Just try improving the query and getting the insights from the data by yourself only. The third thing is on design part is majorly on, let's say if you have a very high level idea. Now, yesterday only, I think I was trying out this Google's launched new product called Stitch, right?
Yeah.
Where you can just create components. And I was trying it out with a very basic prompt that I gave and
Mhm.
with a screenshot. And it was able to come up with a very decent level of wireframes for me. So for me, when I come up with an idea, to build a skeleton out of it. At least that is quite sorted for me. So earlier you could do it with pen and paper. Right now you can even have a very high fidelity design that you can just go ahead and maybe show it to the designer that this is what I am imagining, that this what it should look like. And he will always, of course, build on top of that if he has some input whether this works or not works, built on top of that. But for you to even whatever you are envisioning to bring back into some form, some sort of skeleton form, gives you that flexibility.
Interesting, interesting. So that's one part of the tools. Are you integrating it somewhere in the core workflows yet, or is that something that's still in the I mean the discovery phase, and you'll figure out more problems where it can be done?
No, you are talking about the production side where have we integrated
Yeah, yeah. On the core application, if there is there like an LLM to, I don't know, maybe suggest a route or whatever on the Captain app or something like that.
there are some things happening on that
Got
line, but as of now, it's still
got it.
WIP. And I
Cool.
think devs are using it for a different type of use cases, but PMs directly interacting with code bases, that's still not happening as of now. Abra.
Understood. But the fundamental skill set, for example, from what I understand, is that the speed of execution in terms of giving the wireframe, maybe creating docs, PRDs, and all of that has changed.
Significantly.
Got it. Got it. And I'm sure everyone in the team has adopted it fairly quickly. I'm assuming you would also believe that going forward, that probably is going to be a mandatory skill set for new PMs coming in, or how do you think PM should go about it, especially aspiring ones?
Yeah, I think not just in PMing space, I would say this will become like a more of a general life skill to have,
Yeah, true.
right?
Mm.
You need to know this to even just like have this will just will bring efficiency to your life. Leave
Yeah.
even the work part bit. If you want to have a very efficient life, you don't want to spend doing repetitive works again and again, right? So this will become more of a life skill where people will learn all of these skills and start integrating into their key workflows in their life, not just in work, right?
Mm.
So yeah, that will be just a life skill which everyone has to go through it. And PMs will, of course, they are the people who generally try to optimize. I have a lot of my friends who are just Notion lovers. They are going into this phase of where they're going to over optimize this, right, and make their life much easier.
Interesting, interesting. Nice, nice. I think, yeah, pretty interesting. Finally, just want to pick your brain on because I mean you've lived that journey, and of course, right now what we are in March, so people graduating out of college, they would have like a few months to keep looking and finding and go for great jobs. So, is there any advice that you would like to share, especially with people trying to make it into PM out of college, considering that's something that you were able to do, especially without, with building the proof of work. Is there any advice that you'd want to give to aspiring PMs?
Yeah, I would just say, like, try out as many things as you can, reach out to as many people as possible with
Mm.
relevant details, and don't get frustrated if you get a no. So, there's just
Very
like a
important.
lot of like in the initial beginning of your career, you will get a lot of no's, right?
Mm.
And even in when you become like if a mid level or a senior level corporate person, then also you'll still have in whatever field you do, right? You'll still have a lot of no's. So, be okay with that build a thick skin. So a lot many times I've seen people who are like, oh, I was always a topper and somehow in job these people are rejecting me. So build a thick skin where you are comfortable with, even if let's say for according to you, you perform well.
Uh-huh.
Someone from the other side says no, you will be like, okay, fine. And a lot many times if you are rejected, it is not just that you did not perform well. It sometimes is just the match was not right, or even if sometimes the company's priority has changed. Yeah,
Correct.
when a company is on a hiring spree, the standards are sometimes lower, right?
Mm.
So you can see that they might even hire you even if you're not performed well. But a company who is not looking to hire actively, even if you performed very well, they will still be like, oh, let me look for other candidates also if somebody is out there who is better than them, right? So depends upon company. So don't take it personally. Just keep improving. Self scrutinize yourself. I
Okay.
have done well or not, but don't let rejections or people saying no to you, like don't let it affect you, basically.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Finally, a broader question because everyone keeps asking. Because of AI, what are your thoughts on the PM as a career itself for someone trying to look at PM as a long-term career goal, and especially worried about AI coming in? What is your take on that?
So at least I feel personally, this will be
Mhm.
my personal advice, is this is going to stay. Maybe in some form, the form might change, the role name might change, but finding out right problem and solving it, that's very, very, very first principle. And I don't think that
Correct.
role, that core thing is gonna get removed. So if you are, maybe you might be called AI builder, product builder, or whatever the new term that comes out, but finding out the right problem, discovering the right problem, and solving it, maybe in the solving it part comes to you also. It's that it's possible, right? That people, we might actively start participating in building the product more, right? That's possible. But at least now, actually, I feel it becomes more important that everyone should focus more on the identifying the problem part, right? Because building has become cheaper, right? So you need to,
Perfect.
now the focus has to go on finding as many problems as possible, right? Earlier what used to happen is you'd spend a lot of time on identifying the right problem and sizing it, because building was costly. Now
Yeah.
building is had become cheaper. You can just have an idea and just try it out, even if let's say it does not work, because it's not very costly to build that. Earlier we would
Mm.
spend significant amount of time in making sure that the idea that or the problem that we identified is the right problem, size it, do something like go and talk to customer to validate it, right? Maybe now we don't need to significantly invest so much time here, because there's a lot of the building part has itself been made easier, so people will spend more time in discovery, right? At least I feel that.
Got it. Got it. No, makes sense. And I think very useful advice for people looking at it. I like that overall term that, the role will remain the same. Maybe someone just changes the name that it's called, but still finding problems is going to always be relevant. Thank you so much, Atul, for doing this. I think this was very insightful. Any parting comments, anything that you'd like to share with the folks?
Thanks a lot, Malay, for having me. It was very, very nice talking to you. And all the best to the people who are trying it out. And I hope all of you like find whatever you are looking for, right? In whatever field, not just product management, whatever.
Correct. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Atul.